After a horrific school shooting by another disturbed kid bent on evil, the gun debate has center stage once again. But does anyone ever wonder if we should allow God, prayer, the Bible, and the Ten Commandments back in public schools in America? Let's talk about what could be on this episode of Christ and Culture. Hi, I'm David Fiorazo. There's never a shortage of opinions immediately after a tragic shooting or an act of terrorism. Debates over gun laws and the Second Amendment fill the headlines. Are we or are we not desperate enough to discuss all possible solutions? If we sincerely want to do everything in our power to prevent further loss of life and protect our children, can we finally bring up the need for God and a moral structure that used to be the fabric of society? What is so wrong with allowing the Bible and Ten Commandments to be displayed once again in government schools that our tax dollars are funding? Imagine kids seeing occasional reminders of Jesus Christ and his teachings on how to love our neighbor instead of bombarding them with the leftist ABCs, anything but Christ. Well, according to the Freedom from Religion Foundation, the ACLU and other anti-Christian activists, our schools are better now than they were 50 years ago. Their motto is, good without God. You call what's happening in today's chaotic schools good? Please. And they say those of us who believe the Bible are the ones living in a fantasy world. Okay, so what about Hollywood? According to the Parents Television Council, 61% of primetime TV shows contain violence, and nearly 40% contain violence and guns. We now have kids today who place no value on human life due to the removal of God, due to Hollywood's promotion of violent movies and video games, and to an abortion business that promotes the murder of the most vulnerable. Why do so few people point to the fact that atheists, activists, and radicals want a country without God, but when tragedy hits, they ask, mockingly of course, where is he? And why doesn't he care? You cannot have it both ways. You banned God, the one true God, from the classroom, the courthouse, and culture. So you can either keep him out or invite him back in. I'd suggest inviting him back in. After a tragic shooting, it's always a head-scratcher when those who don't believe in God claim their thoughts and prayers go out to the victims. Well, most of us know there's only one living God capable of answering prayers. So who are they praying to? How much good does a person's thoughts really do? It's just lip service. The true God is not a genie in a bottle or a 911 call you only use during an emergency. Trying to make sense of a senseless act of evil, one of the best responses I've heard recently was from Wisconsin Congressman Sean Duffy discussing the issue with Tucker Carlson. Take a look.
So, Congressman Duffy, we could talk for hours about this. We don't have much time at all. But what's your best guess for why this is happening in the first place? What would drive a 19-year-old to want to murder strangers?
Well, listen, I think there's a whole bunch of issues that are taking place outside of guns, Tucker. I think our kids in America are angry. They're being raised in single-family homes without fathers. As a congressman, being away, I know that our boys specifically need fathers in the home. They're being over-medicated, which you've talked about. We say they have attention deficit disorder, so we medicate them instead of parent them. We have violence that comes from Hollywood. We dehumanize life in those video games and in those movies, and with abortion. There's a whole slew of issues that we have in America that we didn't have 40 years ago. And we have to address the root cause of what's bringing kids to be so angry and so detached. Listen, cell phones, Tucker, these kids, they don't talk to each other anymore. They don't know how to interact with people. And because they're detached because of their phones and parents aren't engaging them to draw them away from the phone and into conversation, they're isolated. That's a hard conversation to have. It's
You're
easier
totally
to say,
right.
I have a political agenda to take away guns, and that's where the left goes at CNN, instead of going, let's talk about the root cause of the problem, which is how we're parenting and raising our kids. We've driven out faith and morality out of culture and family. That's all part of the problem here.
Of course it is. And you'll be mocked for saying that. But even the people mocking you on some level know that you're absolutely right. They know you're right.
America's founders declared we must be a moral and educated people, and most of them believed God's word to be the foundation of truth and a healthy society. If young people could somehow once again be taught in schools the Judeo-Christian principles that seemed to work well for 200 years, there probably would be less violence, less drugs, fewer single parents, fewer pregnancies, fewer suicides, and fewer Nicholas Cruzes. Maybe. I've always appreciated the values of the Addams family. No, not that Addams family. In 1798, President John Adams wrote to the Massachusetts militia, quote, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." And here's a quote by President John Quincy Adams, quote, "So great is my veneration for the Bible that the earlier my children begin to read it, the more confident will be my hopes that they will prove useful citizens to their country and respectable members of society." Let's invite God back in. What do you say? I'm David Fiorazo. God bless you, and keep speaking the truth about things that matter. If you like outstanding videos, like the one you just saw, as one of the top Italian personalities on Freedom Project Media, I like this one of me. This is one of my best ones. Oh, I was just watching more great content on freedomproject.com. Go check them out.